This is the paper bead bracelet class at Element 3 Health. And I was thinking, what do I do with these bracelets? Or I mean, what do I do with these beads? And normally I always just do like a typical elastic, this elastic cord. And then I started to get into some little different ideas. And it kind of has gotten me excited about doing something new, actually. And this, I even started doing macrame or the typical square knot to make these. So I'm really excited about doing a little bit different craft than I've done in a long time. And a book that I was inspired by is this book here called Paper Bead Jewelry by Keiko Sakamoto. I haven't made anything out of here, but it really kind of gets you focused on what kind of beads to make for what kind of projects, because I was just making beads just for fun and I wasn't really thinking about anything in mind. But now that I have that book, I can start making beads specifically to some idea that I want to complete, whether it be jewelry or anything else. So to do paper beads, to do these bracelets, I'm just going to set these aside for a sec, and I'm just going to talk about supplies. So if you're going to just do these elastic, this is the bead, the clear beading cord. It's elastic. It's available at all kinds of places. Stretch Magic is one of the brands. I go between, this one is a 0.7, this one is a 0.7 millimeter diameter. It's a little thinner. And this one is a little bit thicker. It's at 0.8. Anything thicker is just too thick for these. But I'll tell you about those, about how we do that. You can also get it in black too, which is kind of nice. Then you also need a tiny bit of clear fingernail polish, white glue, and if you want to do the necklaces or the bracelets, if you want to make them like this, where they're braided, then you would just need some kind of cording. Like you can use even this stuff. This is the baker's twine. I don't know what this is, but it's some kind of nylon cording. You can get waxed linen. You can even use the stuff I bought. Let's see. I bought this stuff. It's made for the dream catchers. It's waxed. It's really not real sinew. It's not the leather, but it's like a waxed cord, and it comes in all these really delicious colors. And so that's actually going to be in a class we're going to do pretty soon. We're going to do dream catchers. So I bought these, and I found that they make great jewelry cord. So you just need some cord, elastic, some scissors, and you don't really need anything else. And maybe some accent beads. Those are pretty important too. I wanted to share with you also a little use for your paper beads. I noticed I had some paper beads after I glazed them, the hole would just seal up at the bottom. For some reason I had some that the hole was sealed because of the glazing material. But what I found was great. I've poked myself with this thing so many times, and I found that I can make a little thing to keep a point protector, or a finger protector, if we want to call it. But those work really well. So you can actually make these beads, glaze them in a way where you have one end closed, and then you can start protecting needles and things like that. So I just wanted to share that with you. So anyway, these are the beads that we made I made after the last class, and I just made random shapes. Now in the future, I think I want to make, out of that book, I want to make cylindrical beads, just straight piece of paper. There's no curve to them. I want to make a bunch of those to make a certain type of bracelet that I saw in the book. But so this is just random beads, and I've been trying to find things to do with them, and I have found I could make bracelets and things like that. Like this one here I made from if you remember the shrink evening class, I had this heart that I really liked, and this is using the elastic cording, and I just put a couple of accent beads in between. And that one I think is really fun. It could be a necklace, it could be all kinds of things. So I'll just talk to you, we'll do the elastic bracelet first, so you can see what And I like this little, I've got this little beading tray. It's like a tray. It actually has this felt, this kind of a strange felt, but what's nice about it, it keeps the beads from rolling around, and I really like that. And I just wanted to, I've had that for years, and it kind of keeps everything contained. So, and I don't remember where I got it. I'm sure that I could probably look it up if you're interested. All right, so the elastic. This one's kind of the thicker stuff, and I don't think because I'm using, actually I've decided I'm going to use the little small beads with a very small hole. So I don't need the thick stuff. I'm going to go with the thinner stuff. Now the thinner stuff, you just cut to a little bit longer than what you think you should have. So like I've got about 10 inches there. And you need to probably if you have one of these little clips, these are little, just little, those little clips, just have one end, this keeps the beads from sliding off. So just have one end so closed off. Instead of having to tie it off, I just do it that way. So I'm just gonna start creating my, oh, I forgot to say one thing. Before you do that, you do need to stretch you need to stretch your elastic a few times. Just give it a stretch, because otherwise, if you don't do this step, eventually your bracelet will sort of get loose and stretch out. So let's pre-stretch it. Instead of pre-shrinking something, we're pre-stretching. So that's a tip that I don't, that I had learned a long time ago to do with that cording. So I'm just going to go ahead and start doing it. And I have kind of a plan already. And that's probably the most fun part is doing the beading, having a plan. And you can actually just lay out your beads in line and just see how they look before you start stringing. And they're just really easy to do. I've got this little filler bead. And I'll just kind of go every other, I'll just use these beads here, just kind of a subtle look. Now this tray that I'm using is it's actually it's a tray that's used for sumi ink. And this is a plastic one, and they have them also in porcelain. And those are awesome for organizing your beads, which is really, handy. So this, and what I like about them is that the tray actually has this nice sloped area, and that makes it really easy to get the beads out. If you've ever tried taking beads out of a square thing, I put my fingers in and I can't get the beads out, and it's frustrating. So that's a nice little, these are only like $3, which is amazing. So $3 or $4, maybe prices have gone up lately, but it should be under $5 for that tray. And if you are interested in it, I will be happy to give you the information. So there, it's like an easy thing. And if I pay attention, it's very mindful, actually. It's just kind of relaxing. Found myself yesterday just enjoying these, and the day before I wasn't doing my work once again, but I was just enjoying the process of this sort of mindful activity. And the nice thing is these beads I've made, these are something I've made myself. So it's kind of it's just a nice thing to be able to look at them and enjoy them. Now, to decide your length, if the general wrist is about 7.5 to 8 inches in diameter. So I just basically, what I do is I have a thing, this is my kind of like my little wrist shape. So I just keep a cord, and I actually marked it in the center for, let's say if I was going to do an accent bead, I actually marked it in the center. So it's kind of a guide. So I have to bead basically up to here to get the right length. Oops. There we go. So that's just, I think what I'll do is I just want to tie it off so I don't want to bore you with the beading thing, but it's not too far away. So let me just finish that. I think I had some other plan to do something fancier. See, these filler beads are kind of a, whatever these are. These are really neat cylindrical beads with little bling inside. And I think that's what my plan was, is to use those, but I didn't. So we'll see if I even have enough beads to complete this bracelet. We will find out. Well, maybe not. Actually, it's possible that it might be long enough. Yay. Okay, we're getting there. Now these little filler beads, they're made out of plastic. These little sparkly things. I got them at Michael's, and I love their accent beads. And they're not expensive, and they're not, it's not a big investment, but it just added a little bit of sparkle to since my beads are pretty plain. Okay, so I think I have it long enough. Yep, I'll just put one more of these. And what I like to do is, I see that that bead needs to go away. Okay, so now to tie it off, I do a square, kind of a square knot. And I kind of pull it nice and snug, but not so snug that it buckles up. I'll just do a square knot. And then I'll do one more square knot. And then before I cut it, I put a little tiny touch of fingernail polish. Now, if you've used super glue, I used to do super glue, and then I found after some time the super glue deteriorated the, actually I'm just going to stretch it apart a little, and then I'm just going to put that inside. You can use white glue as well. Just don't use super glue because it will degrade the elastic. So that's it. I'll just leave it there like that. And then once it's dry, I'll snip those ends off, and that will be that. So that's one way, very simple, easy peasy. Now the other one thing that I got intrigued with, because I was just thinking, if you don't have elastic, what can you do? If there's some other way. I wanted to share with you, you see the beads with a big wide end. I was able to put little brads, these little eyelets inside, to give it a nice little finished edge. And if you can see, I did with this one, I used that edge. I don't know if you can see it, but there, so that kind of gives it a nice finish. And then on this one, I added some Swarovski crystals because it needed a little something. But I just kind of want to share with you that you can decorate the ends to give them a better finish by putting just a little E6000 right on the end, and then I insert it, and it's good to go. So I can make something out of that. So what I did is I wanted to share this with you. This is, it's in progress. So you can see I have a long bead. And this is good to do this with a large whole bead. And I actually haven't done a square knot in ages, and it took me a while to figure it out. But what I did to start this is I have just this cord. This is the baker's twine. It's kind of a thicker baker's twine. I put it inside. I just fed it through this big bead right here. And that's it. And I knotted one side. I just kind of loosely knotted that side. Actually, no, I didn't do it. I didn't knot that side until I put these cords. Now, then I took this waxed stuff, and I actually, before I tied it off, I folded this in half. Just fold it in half, and I tied that into the knot. So basically, then it was which I will show you how, I guess I can show you how I did that too. But I just kind of, I secured this by looping it inside the knot, so it was not going to go anywhere. So then I started to make my square knots all the way now. And I'm going to tell you, if you don't know how to do a square knot, I've learned, it's kind of funny. These square knots are really awesome for even making closures. You don't, to make adjustable bracelets. So I want to share with you that. So I'm using a little clipboard to secure it. And so what I did is I actually start from the center. This was already completed yesterday. So what I did was to start it, I just clamped it down on, and it was just a cord, nothing was over here. And I started here, and I started to make my square knot, and I made about 6 knots. Then I inserted the bead, and then through the center thing only. And here, as you can see, the outside has the cord, and then I resumed my knotting, and I tied it off at about, I don't know, 20 knots or something. Then I just tied it off. Now this side's done, and I used this little guy to make, get the length just right. So now I'm just going to turn it over, because now I'm kind of in progress on the second side. I'm just going to clip it on, and now I wanted to show you how I how I did this part. So here's this bead. This one's going to go in there, and it's best to use the beads with the bigger hole. Now with the square knots, a little trick that I learned is, if you're wondering where to start, like which side to start, if you see there's little, you can see, I'm just going to try to point to it. There's like a little knotted, these little rounded, where the thread is not the knot part. You see that side, those little guys? That's where you're going to start when you start your curve, you make a loop over something like this shape, and then you bring the left side. So I've got my loop that's laying over the cord, laying over my center, and I'm just going to bring this cord, I'm going to lay it over that string, and then I'm going to take it, I'm going to bring it underneath everything and up through. And bring it up through, and I'm just going to tie it off. I'm just going to gently bring it and hold that part, and this thing, once you get it, it's just so much fun, and you get this beautiful flat knot. And the thicker cord allows me to use a thin cord and still get kind of a nice, a little bit thicker cord, whatever you call that, a cord. It just gives it some body, So basically, now that I see my little knot part is here, I hope you can see that. I'm just going to bring it over into a loop over the center. And I'm just going to take this part over. This is going over, and then I'll feed it underneath everything and bring it up through. I'm just kind of keeping everything all flat. And so I can go faster. I'll go a little bit faster and just show you. It doesn't take forever to get these, but I wanted to, I didn't want to go too much longer, because I want to show you how you feed the bead through. So I've got my bead, and I'm hoping I can feed it through. Now, sometimes, see how this is so frayed, and I'm going to have difficulty getting that. There's a couple of ways. You can use some glue, which, I don't have my tape. So I was going to show you two ways, but one of them is a tape, where you take tape and you just wrap it. But I'm just going to do the glue. I just put some glue on the end of the cord, and I'm just going to kind of twist it. Basically, I'm just going to make a needle out of the, but of course I need to wait for it to dry. We'll see. I've got it kind of a tip now. A pointy tip. We don't want it fraying, because then it won't go through the bead. But hopefully it'll go through. It's still a little wet. So normally I would get tape, and gotta find it somewhere. I see where it is, but it's just kind of out of my reach. So I'm going to try getting that through, and I think it's fine. I got it through. Yes. Okay. So now that I've got it through, I'm just going to put this. If I don't put the seal on this, it will never start again. These are really neat things because they give you a very fine tip. You just have to make sure you cover it. Okay, so now I've got this guy, and I'm just going to see where I just got that little knot side on that side. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to bring this over and start my square knot, resume the knots. And then you just keep it nice and tight, and the bead will stay inside really nicely. Here we go. And the tighter I pull it, the better. Just want it to kind of fit snugly around. There's a tight one. So now I can't tell really where that, I think this is the side I'm going to do it. We'll see. I'll find out if it no, it would be, I can't tell now where I need to pick up my knot. But I'm just going to try this way. I think the last one I was on the other side, so we'll see. If it doesn't work, you can always undo it. You just don't want it twisting around. That's why I found my first knots were twisting. And I didn't know why, but it was because I wasn't following. And I'll know when I see it. It's just getting that first knot and this little guy in there. Let's see if it's going to work. Yep, well, it probably would have twisted, but I'm not going to worry about it because now I have there's my little knot, that little place, that raised area that I want to see. And just keep going. And the way you want to, if you want to have this to be an adjustable bracelet, you just make one of these, a few square knots, which I wanted to show you. And I could actually show you. There we go. And I'll just keep, so anyway, that can keep going until I get to this place. So I've got probably about, 15 or so knots to do. And I don't want to bore you with that. So I wanted to share with you, if you want to make a closure that, here's one that's twisted. So you can see that one twisted up. Here's one that worked. This one is going to be good. If you want to keep your bracelets, if you want to have them adjust, so like this one opens up and it closes too. So it's really kind of neat. You can get it to adjust. You just make the square knots. You just lay your cords. So in this one, once I'm finished, I'll lay this cord this way and this one this way, and I'll create the square knot right in here. Then I can pull it tight and make it adjustable. So you can see I've done that with this one. It's like, this is just a braided one, but I've made it so I can adjust. This is a great closure you can use for necklaces. You can use it for book to cover, let's say you have a book that you want to have a little closure. This would be a really neat way to do it. So this one, I see the knots coming apart. That's because I've learned this knot won't come apart, because I've learned that after you've made your closure, you just put some glue on the ends and then leave it alone until it sets, and then it will stay. So